Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blue Collar Sports Talk, June 1st. Guess what? I've got a quick lineup of what we're going to talk about today. We'll start off with some Husker news. NHL Finals. Wow, what a playoff so far. We'll discuss some NHL. NBA Finals have arrived. We'll give you our final thoughts. And now here's our show. Hey, everybody. Daryl here. June the 1st, Thursday, Blue Collar Sports Talk.
Morning.
James, after a nice morning shower.
Oh, man. We've been waiting for it, and it's been teasing us, and we've finally got it. I mean, a little faster. We had some flash flooding around the areas, but it was a nice, good rain.
It was. It woke me up, so I got up super early today. And we're going to jump into Husker stuff. And by the time you listen to this, it'll probably already be sold out. But I read approximately 8,000 more tickets will be available. Starting today, June 1st at 10 a.m.
Right, but it'll be standing room only tickets.
Yeah, and it's the floor, or the
on
floor.
The field.
Field, floor, same thing.
Yeah.
And again, so this pushes it to 91,000. And then the article I read said it doesn't include media and staff. So I don't know if that technically hits the attendance. In my mind, it should. They're there.
Right.
But I don't know how those rules work when you're trying to get an attendance record.
And I remember us talking about it. You had brought it up before when, the rumors were maybe opening up seats later because, like you said, they referenced in 2 soccer games where they had pushed 90,000. So if this gets us right at that 91 to kind of push that envelope to get the all-time record, not just the volleyball or college record, this would be huge.
I can't remember. I mentioned it a while back, but yeah, the all-time record, I believe, was soccer.
Yeah, women's soccer is 90-something thousand. I don't know if it was 91 or not, but
it was a World Cup. So if we could get that on a collegiate level in volleyball, I think that would be
Nebraska.
Amazing. Right.
And I'm still waiting to find out and I know it's country, so it's not even like I'm going to know the person, but who it is, because I'm thinking once you hear 80+ thousand tickets sold, how are you not signing the dotted line any faster?
I don't know.
I
don't know. There's so many things when it comes to recruiting kids these days, especially in the nil generation of things. So that leads me into talking about the Big 12. I know we're in the Big 10, but we came from the Big 12. They're considering negotiations with Gonzaga and a few other things. So I'm gonna time out, pause the Husker news talk, but they're trying to negotiate a bunch of stuff. So Gonzaga is in the West Coast Conference, but they want to get into the Big 12, which I understand. So Big 12 and Pac-12 are having a bunch of meetings. The Big 12 is trying to pursue not just Gonzaga, but UConn, San Diego State, and UNLV on whether the league can get some of these to defect from their current conferences and come over.
Colorado's on that list too.
I know. Yeah. So
you imagine the Big 12 with Gonzaga, Kansas, Texas, and sometimes Oklahoma in basketball?
Right.
Whoo,
right.
Wee.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Now back to Husker stuff, basketball. You mentioned basketball. So Nebraska senior guard Tomaniga, he announced last night he's coming back.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk about this because he was one of 6 players to average double figures while shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three-point range, and 85% from the foul line. So this kid is money.
Yep. So if you guys don't know, he wasn't in the portal. He tried to go pro, not try to go pro. He entered the draft area, went through some workouts with different teams. He never took an agent. Obviously, it was smart of him. We're not working with teams. Teams talked to him. They loved him, but they said he might want another year to grow before he's NBA ready. He wasn't quite NBA ready. So super smart for him to come back, and huge for Husker fans and Husker basketball fans to see another year with him instead of him jumping to the G League or bouncing around overseas somewhere until he was ready. So glad he decided to come back.
Great addition because, yeah, he wasn't trying to transfer. He tested the waters, per se, for the NBA, and we're glad to have him back.
Yes.
Very glad to have him back.
And I just wish more players would test the waters and see where they're at when they go through those. It's almost like a combine, but it's at the teams things, and not take an agent and then go back. Because you get up there and some of those guys that think they're better than they are, and then they get in some of those camps and they're playing these guys that have been out 1 or 2 years and are still trying to get in the league. And it could be an eye-opener for some people. So it just, when they grab an agent early, and I know the money is so tantalizing and I get it. I'm not in those shoes. I can say what I'm doing without I've never been there. So, but yeah, I just wish more players would test waters and come back than to waller in the G League for 7-8 years and then never make it.
And yet they're still doing what they want. So I understand why they do it. G League is nothing to be ashamed of. But I take your point. Junior Billy Andrews, Husker softball, was honored as an All-American by the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association also on Wednesday. She is a native of Gretna, and not only the third Nebraska native and fourth shortstop to earn All-America honors in program history. This marks the Huskers' first All-America shortstop since Allie Viola, and that was in 1998. So kudos to her. She was hitting .354 this spring, 13 doubles, 16 homers, 30 RBIs. And overall, she has led the Huskers in 67 hits, 16 home runs again, and slugged .677 with an on-base percentage of .441. So again, kudos to Billy Andrews, who's a junior, should come back.
Right.
And then Nebraska track and field, going strong. We have 20 entries at nationals right now. That's the most since 2014.
Yeah, ain't that crazy? I mean, it's great. I don't mean crazy, but that's awesome.
It's both crazy and great.
Yeah, athletes are coming in, performing. We had that freshman in golf. I mean, get off subject on yours here, but she came in, blew it up, ended up setting the Nebraska record also for freshmen. So yeah, I mean, it's a start. More and more talent that comes in, get us up there.
And then switching gears to Husker football, they put out two quick Fox schedules. The August 31st one at Minnesota is going to be Fox carried, 7 p.m. kickoff Thursday night in Minneapolis. And then the following week, Colorado, 11 a.m. kickoff.
And I love it. And I agree. When we found out it was 11 o'clock, I was happy for the 11 early. One, I get to watch the majority of the game before I go to work. So I'll get probably 3/4, if not all of it, before I go to work. But on the flip side, for those of you guys not looking at the time, 11 o'clock for us is 10 o'clock in Colorado.
Right.
So now you're having a crowd that's going to arrive late and sluggish. They're going to have some pregame guys, but for most part, you imagine this was a 6, 7 o'clock game at night. That stands would be packed. It would be loud with Colorado fans.
It's still going to be packed.
Right. With red, though, I think there's going to be more red because of the early showing. So I'm excited that they put this game at 11 for Nebraska's second game and not in the night lights let Colorado take over.
You really think with all the hype that Deion's bringing that I don't know, he's trying to do everything he can to make sure that the least amount of red can show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's doing a good job. I still want a lot of people there that are our Huskers.
Yeah, I think the 11 o'clock hurts it. I really do. But we also have October 6th at Illinois will be another 6 p.m. game. And the Minnesota, August 31st, is a 7 p.m. game. So, I mean, we got several night games. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant it was a Northern Illinois is, I know you had already said Minnesota. Northern Illinois, 6 p.m. So three games right there in the night, and then we know the Iowa Black Friday games. Obviously, it's going to be 11 o'clock as usual. But Nebraska getting some evening time, so hopefully we can start winning in the evening. And on that football, Big Red Camp starts June 4th, which is this Sunday. Just kind of like a normal training camp you would do. Day one is obviously meeting and talking and all that good stuff. Then you're going to have O-line, D-line, running back, and linebackers going together. Session 2, you'll have quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, corners, safeties, and then your kicker, punters. And then it just goes from there, team building and workouts all the way for the next 10 days, I believe it is.
Yes. Matt Rule, let's go, buddy. You got your work cut out for you. I'll say it again. I want you to prove me wrong. I want you to do better than 500. But realistically, I'm thinking that's about right where we're going to be. Again, I hope he proves me wrong. I really do.
Right.
And I'm glad we're moving on from Scotty F.
Yep.
I'm not even going to say his last name. I just like saying Scotty F because that's the grade he got. F.
F.
We're going to switch to the ice. So before we even discuss the playoff final scenario, Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky is a favorite for the Conn Smythe Award.
I hope so.
That guy has
You're talking about putting him on his back.
Oh my gosh.
With all the padding.
That guy's done everything he can. So at the beginning of this playoffs, you look back and think, oh, the Panthers don't have a chance.
Along with the other on the hoop side, same thing, right?
Right. So Boston laid an egg. The Boston Bruins laid an egg. But more importantly, Florida got it done. I mean, it's not that Boston didn't try, just Florida outshined them.
Yeah, and not only that series, but then the next series, and then the next series. Yeah, they and the goalie's been huge. He's had a few goals he's given up here and there, but overall, some of the bad turnovers that the Florida has had off and on during this series, this goalie has definitely stepped it up, and he's going to have a heck of a test. The Golden Knights, they don't have they have a really, really good goalie. Obviously, you don't make it to the finals without a good goalie, but they can score. I mean, they're going to give up 2 or 3 goals, but they're really going to, look, Game 7, they went 6 goals, I think, 6-0. So they can really pile on the goals. So Florida's going to have to, keep them to 2 or 3 and give them a chance to get 2 or 3 themselves.
And they spread, and that's another strength. You touched on another strength for Florida. They spread the goal scoring around. I agree. Vegas Knights are going to have their hands cut out for them. Yeah. Tkachuk is just playing out of his mind, and their coach is doing everything they can, even if it's just the little things for a while, because they did get away from Sergei for a while. Alex Line, I believe it was, against Boston. He got yanked because, hey, you're just, I don't know if you're not in it or what, but then Bobrovsky came back and has just been unstoppable as far as putting up a brick wall in front of the net. Yeah,
and they split the season, 1-1, Golden Knights winning 4-2, and Panthers doing it Panther style, winning 2-1. So that's what it's going to come down to. If there's more than 3 or 4 goals scored, hats probably go to Vegas, and if it's a low-scoring fest, it's going to go to me. I can see it going to Florida.
So I text Roger and I asked him what his thoughts were on the series, and he must have been looking at it quick because I sent the text asking about Saturday's game, and he just sent back Panthers in 5. So, I mean, the funny thing is, they have been underdogs this entire time, and they could easily pull it off. This Saturday's game, Vegas is favored, and the overs are set at 5.5 goals. Yep. Honestly, I was having a tough time picking who wins this first one.
100%. I mean, obviously, I would see Vegas favored. They're at home. Majority of the time, you start a series, they're going to pick the home team. And yeah, I just don't, until you see that first game, how they're going to react on each other or what the game plan is, it is very hard to pick because is it going to be a 1-1 game going to the third overtime, or is it, a 4-2 game and the Knights win it in the third?
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you have for the series?
For the series,
Yeah.
I'm going to go against my norm. I have picked against Vegas all playoffs, actually. Nothing against you, Peter. I'm just saying I didn't think they could do it because they just weren't as good defensively. But they have showed me that they can play above average defense and really top of the line offense. So I'm going to take the Golden Knights in 5.
Knights in 5. All right, I'm forcing myself to pick. So I am going to go, this goes 7 games as my pen dies. And I'm going Panthers in 7 games.
Oh, so you and Roger both going Panthers.
Because, and this bit me in the butt the last time I went, these 2 teams are going to do it because they're in the same city. But Florida Panthers finals, Miami Heat finals.
Yep. And
so,
speaking of the same city, those of you that haven't noted or known, but Golden State and San Jose had a chance to have the whole same city, same winning titles. And I believe it was Golden State that lost. San Jose won. One of the two, one way. Anyway, the Florida Panthers and the Miami Heat, if they both win, will be the first time that one city has won both football and basketball in the same season. So there's been a few other chances. The most recent would be Golden State, San Jose. So I'm kind of excited. Like I said, this first game would be definitely what we can look, but as we've seen with these series all in hockey, that a team could win big the first game and then lose the second. So it is going to be interesting to see. Over and under at 5.5, I think that's about right. A 3-2 game, 4-2. Yeah, so it's right there in the middle. I get it. But if it's 2-1, yeah, Panthers probably win.
So it's a Saturday, 7 p.m., drop of the puck on TNT. And so Eichel hasn't been, I don't know if he hasn't been healthy the entire season. But as far as points for the overall season, Tkachuk has the edge at 109 and Eichel's at 66. And they're their scoring leaders, respectively.
Right.
Tkachuk for the Panthers and Eichel for the Knights. And then you get to assists. Tkachuk has 69. Stevenson has 49. It's going to be a battle.
I think obviously I'm not a hockey coach, but if Vegas plays us a lot like the Edmonton series, Edmonton had that one line that was just killing them and hurting them, pushing them, and then they found a way to do it. I think it's the same thing when Tkachuk and them are in there. That's their main scoring line. So if they can put their better defenders in there and just not even score a goal, but just play defense the whole time until they shift out, and then they can turn it on. It's what I kind of saw during the Edmonton series is when I'm going to forget their names. But anyway, their leading scorers and assist guys were in that one line that they were in. They mainly played defense, didn't try to score. Like, hey, let's just kind of get the puck out of their hands, get it away from them. And then when the line change comes, then we'll put the pressure on and it ended up working. I mean, sometimes obviously you can't stop all McDavid and the other one. You can't stop all good scores. But it was enough that they were able to get through the series. So I think I could see a similar game plan going against Florida.
By the numbers, if you look at the overall season, goals per game, it's almost tied. Panthers have just maybe a 10th a percentage better. And goals against, the Knights have, a 0.5% better. Again, it's going to be really, that's why I'm going 7. That's why I'm going 7. And I'm picking the Panthers mainly because they work really good as an underdog. They've really surprised everybody. Maybe they shouldn't have surprised everybody because they did have some key things go wrong earlier in the season with injuries, and they're gelling at the right time. And then who knows? Vegas Knights could just turn around and just dominate them, and I could be completely wrong.
One thing I look at is the power play. That's huge in the playoffs. Florida's given up 70 power play goals. Vegas has only given up 44. Penalty kill, obviously, in favor of Vegas, 77% to 75. But on the flip side, Florida does have 63 power play goals to Vegas' only 42. So Florida's in the penalty a lot more, almost 1,000 minutes in penalty minutes to Vegas is only 589. So again, that works more in Vegas' favor if they can stay out of the power play or stay with the power play and play a shorthanded Florida team. That would give them a better chance. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going to be really good.
Who do you have winning the first one?
I'll take the home team.
You're going to take the home team?
I don't know any better, so I'll just take the home team.
I'm going Panthers again. They're gonna take the first one. They'll split
it. Okay.
They'll split it. And again, that's a guess.
Yep. And it looks like both are healthy. Florida doesn't have any injured players. Vegas has 2, Logan Thompson and Laurent. Both listed day to day, which says by Saturday we're going to be good to go. So
right,
they're hockey players.
They'll ice it. They'll be fine.
Yep. Roll a little dirt on it. Get up there.
Okay. Moving on from hockey, as 2 Celtics fans in front of 2 microphones, we cried in our beers or however you want to say it over that last Game 7 letdown. And the letdown was from the Celtics. Now, Spoelstra and the Heat, he has been quoted by his players as not losing any confidence in the film room after 3 straight losses in the middle of the series. And then he comes through and champions. He exudes confidence to his players. His players come out and demoralize the Celtics at home. Thoughts, James?
I would have confidence in the film also. I mean, it was the same thing. I had faith in the confidence in the Celtics game film. And you got to reward good defense and blah, blah, blah. I know there's a difference in good defense and missing shots. And the first couple games in the Celtics series, or in the beginning of the series when the Celtics lost, it was missed shots, not good defense. When you're missing open, Celtics worked the ball around, missed open shots. Those 3 losses that Miami had back-to-back-to-back, when you look at the film, Bam was wide open. He missed point-blank layups, 2 or 3 of them in a row, or, a series where he missed them a few in a row. Butler's hitting those little turnarounds that he's normally money from, missing them. So, yeah, if I'm Eric, I'm in there like, fellas, look, we got the shot we wanted. We just have to make it. Okay, yeah, here's a block here. Here's a turnover. We can clean up the turnovers, get them from 12, 14 to 6 to 8. Yeah, that's you clean up in the film room. But it came down to making shots. So fast forward, forget all that in the beginning. When you go into Game 7, it happened 4 other times where a team was down 3-0 and pushed Game 7. They all lost, right? None of them had the advantage that the Celtics had. Home court. No one had home court advantage in that Game 7. Boston did, had a huge ruckus crowd behind them, and they did what Miami did. They could not hit a shot. 9 of 42 from threes. 39% from the field. Just horrendous. Miami probably played decent defense. I watched up mostly as I could on the replay. I didn't watch the fourth quarter because it was pretty much all Miami. But Miami in Boston, 50% from threes. So all it came down to this time, like I said, I trust the film too. If I'm Eric or even Joe, just make the open shots. The offense is working, work the ball. But numerous times, Boston this time in Game 7 didn't make the open shot.
Right. Missed 12 three-pointers, shot just 23% from the three-point range. And the Heat averaged 120 points. So Malcolm Brogdon was asked during the post-game of Game 7 what was the issue, and he said, defense. This was a team last year that prided themselves on defense. Defense was their calling card, and then this year, offense was our calling card, and I don't think you win championships with a better offense than you have defense. That was a quote from Malcolm Brogdon. And he went on to even expound on it later. He's like, I think defensively is where the difference is for us more than anything. But also, you hit the nail on the head. Even if they had played good defense, if you can't hit You're given a tennis racket to hit a baseball and you still miss.
Right.
You know,
and
you shot 23%.
Yeah. So go on the defensive side. Miami had 7 steals to Boston 6. Miami had 2 blocks. Boston had 4 blocks. Turnovers were 15 and 14. So they're right there. I mean, even rebounding defensive rebounds was 35 for Miami, 30 for Boston, but Boston had 10 offensive rebounds to their 7. You know, so they shot 13 free throws. Miami only shot 6 free throws. So you're getting to the line. Yeah, and I agree, Brogdon. You know, we've talked, obviously, through football, whatever, defense wins championships. But again, if you don't score, it doesn't do you any good.
And the other side of this, even though Miami was an 8th seed, that was kind of a lie, because the Heat had the most missed games throughout the season.
For injuries.
For injuries.
Yeah, right.
For injuries.
And Hero wasn't even there these whole playoffs so far.
Just think how good they would have been with Udonis Haslem. Udonis hasn't played this almost entire year, I don't think.
Oladipo went out.
Oladipo went out. So early in the season, and this was even before All-Star break, they'd missed 190 games if you tally all of the issues. Bam had missed 5 games by this time early in the season. Butler had missed 14. Tyler Hero missed 12. Kyle Lowry had missed games. Caleb Martin was hurt for a while. Duncan Robinson had missed 12 games. Gabe Vincent had missed 12 games.
And a couple of those guys are undrafted players. I mean, that's when injuries force other guys to step up and get that playing time, look how valuable it was come playoff time. And yet, flip side, as Boston fans, that's all we ask is get Hauser in there. Get Pritchard in there. And the other guy, I can't think of his name, with a nice little hairdo. Get them in there so when it comes playoff time, if someone's hurt or not on, give them a spark, something.
He didn't go into his depth at all.
No.
At the end of Game 7, Muscala came in and hit 2 back-to-back 3-pointers. I'm like, man, if you would have injected that, possibly, you know, we can what-if this to death.
You're right.
But it all boils down, in my mind, to 2 things. The 2 coaches. The Celtics coach is really young and he's learning. We'll see if he comes back. We'll see if he doesn't. We'll see if the Celtics lineup comes back if they don't. The second thing that happened was Spoelstra outcoached him. And he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, he's not the only one he outcoached. And all of you guys are looking at Boston this Game 7. This Miami team beat the Milwaukee Bucks, they were underdogs every single game, by the way, and won in Milwaukee, got their coach fired for crying out loud. Going to New York, and they weren't even supposed to win that series because of all the talent around. And, oh, by the way, did. And, you know, went to Boston and continued the mojo. So, yeah, Eric Spoelstra not only outcoached Joe, but he outcoached a coach of the year from, 2 years ago, and the Bucks coach, and now he's not even has a job right now. Goes into New York, and these are all road. I mean, these are road victories for a Miami team that was an 8 seed. So everything starts on the road. So, yeah, Spoelstra had them believing. The team believes it. There's not a lot of big names. I mean, there are names now that you've seen them on TV for the last 3 weeks. But I guarantee you, no one was really cheering for Caleb Martin or Gabe Vincent.
I was. By the end of that 7th game, even though I'm a Celtics fan, I'm like, I'm applauding great basketball.
Right, but I'm talking about...
holy moly, are they doing amazing things.
Right, but I'm talking about before the playoffs, when we're going into the playoffs, no one's saying, oh, dude, this Caleb Martin's going to go off. Oh, Gabe Vincent's going to help him out. Hero's out, broke his hand. Oh, man, Miami's done. Man, not looking good. And here you have these guys, these unsung heroes coming in, and you're like, holy cow, who is this Gabe Vincent? Who is this Caleb Martin, right?
And also, to add on to your point, you don't have any of the pressure of being the favored person.
Right.
You have that underdog mentality where, okay, look past us. That's fine. We got this. And I feel Spoelstra used that to motivate his team. You know, they've counted us out ever since we lost to Atlanta, that first one, and then had to win basically every single game after that.
Yep.
We had a few hiccups, but they're moving forward.
Big time.
Okay, so
I like that. I know we didn't give Denver any love, so let's turn over to Denver Nuggets.
Well, time out.
Okay.
Before we get to that, So earlier, 4 or 5 days ago, I had mentioned, hey, the Houston Rockets picked up Ime Udoka.
Right.
And we're sitting there, we're sitting there at lunch, and I go, what are the chances Ime completely turns it around and he gets him into the playoffs next season? So,
and I responded with, well, the West is not very good, so that's not a major accomplishment, in my opinion.
Oh my God, I'm glad you said that, because earlier in the podcast this year, you had illustrated how great the Sacramento Kings were and potentially one of the best.
Right, yes. Yeah.
So looking at the West, I'm going to agree to disagree with you a little bit, because they're all very talented teams. Sacramento's amazing. Golden State's amazing. Nuggets, just phenomenal.
Well, yeah.
The Lakers,
they outplayed what we thought.
The
You're right.
Lakers,
they started finding a niche.
Had they not had to meet the Nuggets, I mean, they beat the Warriors,
right?
And the Warriors had some issues. Okay, the only reason I'm saying that is I don't know if the West is weak, but in my mind, they're not weak. I think they're strong. But what I'm trying to get at is I did a little digging, I did a little research. Only 2 franchises have made the playoffs following a season with the league's worst record, okay? The Miami Heat in 08-09 did it after the 07-08 Heat team. They were without Dwayne Wade for 31 games, dealt with a knee injury. The roster itself had issues. Shaquille O'Neal was late, and they had a 15-67 record. The following offseason, led by Pat Riley, who is now the Miami Heat's general manager, helping Spoelstra. The guy's a genius, both of them. Okay, they regrouped. Wade came back, he was 26, and they used a bunch of veterans, and they captured the 5th seed. Moving forward to 2014-2015, the Bucks went 15-67 in the previous season. They hired Jason Kidd as head coach, and they selected Jabari Parker in the draft. So the Heat did it with veterans.
Right.
The Bucks did it with all young kids. So Giannis was 20, Chris Middleton is 23, Michael Carter-Williams was 23, and Jabari Parker was 19. Brendan Knight, 23. They got him to 500 and were the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, only 5 teams have finished in the 10th seed or higher in their conferences following a year with the most losses, and that was the 2021 Golden State Warriors. They went 9th after everybody basically got hurt. The 85-86 Indiana Pacers and the 03-04 Cavaliers got to 9th the next year. Okay. So I mention all this due to the Houston Rockets having one of the worst records in NBA, tied with San Antonio Spurs. So they have found a defensive-minded coach in Ime Udoka. And I just 2 questions. Can he be the guy who turns around the Rockets franchise? And can the Spurs make magic happen with their top draft pick?
They got popped there, so yeah, I think the Spurs will do better than 22 wins. The only thing I'd say with the West is they could be at 500 and make the playoffs. KC was 2 games below the 500. Minnesota's only 2 games above 500, made the playoffs. And New Orleans, 2 games above, but obviously with Zion being out, that hurt them the most because they were actually 2nd in the West for a long time. For Houston to be 500 and make the playoffs in the West, yeah, it's no big deal. Because if we fast forward and think about this, Phoenix has to figure out what they're going to do, and they're getting a new coach. Golden State, we don't know if Draymond or Thompson both coming back, so that franchise could be open.
That's why it's a great question. We don't know. There's so much time.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. As far as if Houston comes back and wins it, but if the West is even weaker because players leave these top teams. Denver is going to stay the top team. I'll predict now. Next year, we'll be looking at Denver as the #1 seed, maybe #2 to Sacramento. Those 2 teams will be here next year. Sacramento and Denver will be the top 2 teams in the West again next year. Memphis, I don't know. This whole Morant thing, we'll have to figure out how that plays out over the summer. And
it could be a non-factor.
Right, yeah. So that, and they don't do well without him. They're going to, depends on what they do in the draft.
Really, I think they play better team ball without him.
But come crunch time, like in the Lakers series, they had no go-to score guy.
Because he came back. He wasn't in the right headspace. And so
they won 51 with him.
I know, but he was away for a while. They relearned how to play without him, and then he came back, and then they had to relearn how to play with him, and he wasn't even the same player. So, okay.
Marlon, they need a guy that can create his own shot, and they don't have that right. Like the Celtics. I mean, you could say Tatum, he just throws it up there. But you need that De'Aaron Fox to leads the team, leads the league in fourth quarter points, right? The Butlers, you know, those Kyrie Irvings that, hey, we need a bucket now. I can dribble through three people, pull up, maybe kick it out, or get a layup and a foul. They don't have that on Memphis without Ja.
So I brought this up because of Malcolm Brogdon's illustration of how bad the defense was this year for the Celtics in the 7-game series with Miami. I brought that up because in a tale of 2 seasons, Ime Udoka had the Celtics at the #1 defensively rated team in the NBA and took them all the way to the playoffs. Finals.
Right, you're right.
And lost to a really talented, really gelling Warriors team. Fast forward, Ime is gone, and you bring in Joe, and his focus was different than Ime's, and he got him to be the top 2, I think, offense in the NBA. So now Udoka went to Houston. So in my mind, I'm wondering, and if he doesn't, that's fine. Can he get the Houston Rockets turn around with that young core, with some drafts, with some trades? And I think defensively focused, he can do it. That was my main point. So who knows?
I mean, there is rumors that what's his name? The beard Harden goes back.
No way.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's rumors.
I know there's rumors. You're right. You're right. I'm not saying no way to the rumors, but how do you leave the Philly team when you bring in Nick Nurse?
Yeah. Houston's pretty young. They don't have, I don't think, have a great standout guy that I think builds around.
But hold on. I want to go back to Harden.
Okay.
Harden was one of the main reasons that he got Doc Rivers fired. Him and Morey, the GM, were ones like, hey, I don't think Doc's the guy. So then they brought in a guy that's supposed to help develop. So the rumors, yeah, great. That's reporters and media people going, hey, let's create a story. Let's start a rumor. No.
You think no matter what Harden says?
No matter what. No matter what.
I disagree. Yeah.
Okay. What would make him leave? He gets to be the star center showpiece again?
Yes. Yeah, he goes back to a team where, because if his agent's talking to him like, hey, look, when Embiid was out, you did this, this, and this. This is your style. We can go back to Houston where these young guys are at. They're going to lean on you. But it's going to be the same on Harden. I don't care what you do in the regular season. If you get your team to the playoffs, because we know Harden in the playoffs is a vanishing game.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. So he's always tried to get his way. So he got his way and got Doc to leave. But if he can get his way on another team, I don't care about you guys because I want.
And if I'm Philly, I want that. All right, hey, you know what? Yeah, please go. Because with Maxey, Embiid, and I'm just escaping names. Anyway,
no, you're right. Tobias Harris, Maxey.
Tobias Harris, thank you.
Yeah. And
you just add another guard in the draft or through free agency. Philly's going to be really, really good without Harden.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's very interesting.
Anyway, huge road uphill with his lineup that he has as far as if he wants to be defensive. I guess we'll have to see who he picks up in the draft. If they get a really good draft pick, so we'll have to see what they do with it. A solid young core. Again, only 15 games they won this year. 22 games. My bad, Houston fans. 22 games they won. It'll be a long shot if they make the playoffs. But again, if these other teams crack and miss a lot of people, the West could be a lot different next year in the playoffs.
Playoffs. Okay, so we went on our tangent that I fueled with the Ime Udoka going to Houston, what happens, what if scenarios. So let's focus on the Heat tonight at Denver. Nuggets favored by 9. Overs are set at 219. Tip-off at 7:30 for the NBA finals first game ever for the Nuggets in the finals. And what is this for the Heat? The 8th appearance?
It'll be their 4th title if they win it. I don't know how many they've been there. Not a Heat fan. I know LeBron and them got there 3 times. Lost once to Dallas, won twice. And then they had another one without them.
6 times. 6 times.
Okay.
I made up 2 in my mind. Roger picked Nuggets in a sweep. I don't see that. I see it going 7. I see them pushing because the Heat dismantled the best team in the East, the Bucks. The Heat dismantled the second best team in the East, the Celtics. The Heat have gotten almost all of their players back from injuries. They're gelling at a time that's amazing. Their coach is a genius. But in Game 7, who comes out on top, the Nuggets or the Heat?
I don't know if this is updated because I heard Hero was doing team drills and, just wasn't in contact practice and it's still showing him out as of May 29th. I would really like to know if he's going to play because they said he was ready and they said if they made the finals, he would be a go. Right now, I'm showing him out. I wish I knew. Not that it's going to make a thing. It could make things a little bit better for Miami, of course. Denver took both this season, 124-19 and 112-108. Both Denver wins, one on the road, one at home.
Okay, so the report that I have is Hero might come back Game 3. Do you think that changes things for the better or the worse?
Worse.
Yeah.
Worse. I mean, just the spark he's going to provide. Yeah, if they come, I see what they're doing. It's 2 games on the road. Let's rest them a little bit more. We'll bring them back in. Maybe down to 0-2. He's a spark. We can get 2 at home and tie the series back up. Maybe. You need your sea legs. Maybe get them in a few minutes in Denver here and there, and then let them start Game 3. I don't know. I'm not a coach. I'm just saying you can't just jump in. We know the finals are way different than regular season. It's even different in the playoffs. For him to have to jump in there, he's a veteran. Eric's a good coach, like we said. I like Roger's thing. Denver's in a sweep. I think in 5 games or a sweep myself. Mainly, if you want to try to compare teams, they shut down Giannis. Or not really shut him down, but they beat him, right? Giannis is a big guy, right. And if you put Jokic in those same shoes, look at it. Then you go over to the other side with the Knicks with a smaller lineup, quicker. I think they just have other monsters with Eric Gordon and Murray up top. Murray's going to give Butler fits, just like Tatum and Brown did. Or should I say Brown and White or Brogdon. Gave Butler fits for 3 straight games. I think Murray can do that. Then you have Pope. I don't know. I think Denver is a very well-rounded team, a lot like I thought Milwaukee was. Coaching, not coaching, a team gelling and moving well. And, oh, by the way, Miami has already played a lot of games. These playoffs.
Huge.
Denver has not played the minimum, but pretty close. So I give the nod to the Nuggets, healthier, more air in their sails, and I'll take Denver, and I'll give Miami 1 win. Tyler Hero, big game. We'll go 4-1 Denver.
4-1 series. Okay. I'm taking Miami in tonight's game, and I'm taking the Nuggets in 7 games.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Nuggets tonight. Actually, I both home games will go to Denver. And then, they talk about the whole playing up in the air, and it's thinner, and I get it. But then those Nugget players have to go down to Miami where it's humid and stuffy and all that anyway. So the home court will work in both people's favors. But I like I said, I think Denver's too well-rounded, and Jokic is a walking triple-double as a big man. I mean, he didn't get the MVP, but he's by far the best player, was the best player in the playoffs, and to me, the regular season.
Right. That's why I say the Nuggets edge them out in 7 games. The Nuggets coach feels that they might have a little rust having so many games that they've rested, and they might be out of rhythm. That's why I'm giving Heat Game 1, even though they are on the road after a 7-game series with Boston. I just think they're too hyped.
I think that rust it'll be, we'll say, 27, 24 in the first quarter, and then Denver will find that shooting groove, and it'll be Denver all first game.
And then Rodgers right, and they sweep him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Denver hasn't got much love. I'm not saying dynasty. I haven't looked at a lot of the free agents, who's free, who's not, moving on. But if Denver keeps this core together, you can see them, like I said, they'll be in the West next year. I can see them taking over the West for the next 2 to 3 years, if not 5.
Had Murray not gotten hurt, that was huge. Right. But then you also pick up Eric Gordon, who's kind of like rolled around the league a little bit. And Michael Porter Jr. has come on as of late.
Oh, man.
And Aaron Gordon.
I love Gordon. I wish he was a Celtic. I'm not going to lie. I think he's great. I mean, Jeff Green, the 36-year-old that's still playing like he's 31.
Right.
DeAndre Jordan comes off the bench here and there. Man, I think the Porter and the Gordon additions were probably 2 of the best. Obviously, you can't never go wrong picking up Jeff Green. That's all he does is on winning teams. But yeah, I wish the Celtics had a Blake Griffin we could have afforded to or looked at or something with Aaron Gordon.
All right. Any other thoughts on the NBA Finals?
No, I hope it's a great series. It'd be nice if it went 7. But again, those people that a lot of people that didn't talk Denver, was always about the other teams in the playoffs. You're missing a team. If you get to watch some of it the next couple games, this Denver team, you'll see what I'm talking about. They might be around a while.
This is going to be some great basketball. Both sides, great coaches. Both sides, great deep benches. I can't wait.
Yep.
I have 2 things I want to bring up in the NFL world.
Oh, good.
So the Jaguars, I think, have an unlimited ability to get better from here on out. They have a coach that helped the Eagles quarterback understand what it needed to do to win a Super Bowl in Peterson. And he did it. And now he's coming over and coaching a young guy who has been teamed up with his running back that he had in college.
Back from injury.
And now they have also picked up Calvin Ridley, who was acquired by the Jags from the Falcons. He was traded at deadline. He was suspended for betting on games. So he hasn't played. Calvin Ridley hasn't played since October 24th, 2021. But the guy is money.
Oh, yeah. So he's going to have fresh legs, good body, almost prime, not beat up.
Right. So Trevor Lawrence has a good running back if he can stay healthy. I know there's not a whole lot of pressure on running backs these days to have 1,000-yard seasons as long as they have a quarterback that can sling for 3,000-4,000 yards. So now he has Calvin Ridley, and my brain just shut off. I can't even think of any of his other receivers. But I feel that with the head coach of Peterson, with the quarterback of Trevor Lawrence, who is a tall quarterback with a great arm, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL this upcoming season.
And I will just do, to save time, I'll just go to the one I know for sure. Hold on for a little bit. Let's see how Trevor responds, because now, like you're saying, now the expectations are higher, right? You've played well at the end of the season. You made the playoffs. You lost to a very tight game in Kansas City besides a couple picks. Dak Prescott came in, played an amazing rookie year, and it was all talking about, oh my gosh, he's just going to get better next year. Dallas is going to do this, this, and this. They go 8-8. It is 100% how Trevor Lawrence responds to now the pressure of, hey, we just need to go out there and play good football, win some games, we'll be all right, to, hey, Trevor Lawrence, we expect 10, 11 wins out of you. So I totally agree with you. The door is wide open. This team could really take over that South. It's wide open, right? So Jacksonville can own it. But it'll be interesting. Well, now when the reporters are like, hey, you're the man, you did this, you're going to build, right? So let's see how he goes. But you're 100% correct. I mean, everything's set up for him to succeed in Jacksonville to take over that South big time.
The other thing that I found interesting, Deshaun Watson made the news with a hope, with a wish. He hopes he can be reunited with his former Houston, Texas teammate DeAndre Hopkins, who was released by the Arizona Cardinals. So, does he get his wish?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I heard rumors with the Cowboys. They got Brandon Cooks. So I think that rumor's out the door. I know he wants to go to contender. So I would, if I'm thinking myself, I'm saying no. I'm not going to go to the division where I'm playing the Steelers, Baltimore, and Cincinnati win to get in type thing. I'm sorry, Cleveland is not taking that division with those three teams. I mean, especially just look at Baltimore and Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Also, if you can add to that list, as it looks really soon, Dalvin Cook might be available. Minnesota and them are still butting heads. Dalvin could be on his way out. And just like DeAndre, they could be looking for a team, maybe go together. But Cook also will be looking for a contender and not somewhere just to go get a few more yards.
Yeah, as a Viking fan, I hope they figure it out with Dalvin Cook, because I don't want to see him go to another team. I want to see him get some money from the Vikings and help them. But I also understand that if they don't pay him, he's gone.
Right.
So,
and I mean,
good for him.
Yeah, but running backs have to realize no team, I can't say no team. These days, teams are going to be super hesitant to start paying them double figures, meaning $10 million or more a season. When I'm drafting guys out of college, getting great production out of them for 3 to 5 years, depending on when you drafted them, for a lot less. When you start handcuffing me to that 11, 12, 14 million a year contract like Zeke did with Dallas, the longevity just isn't there. Yes, Derrick Henry is there, Adrian Peterson. Those are your two last great. I can still take the ball 25, 30 times. They deserve the money. But these days, so many come out of the college that I think teams just reset and just take another running back.
That's true. It's a business first. And
fact.
I can't blame either side. I can't blame the teams for wanting to save money, and I can't blame the player for wanting to get paid.
Yep.
A Kareem Abdul-Jabbar quote: "One man can be a crucial ingredient on a team, but one man cannot make a team."
Oh, so many people come to mind, but yes, that's 100% correct. It's why it's called a team sport. It's not golf. It's not tennis. It's a team sport. Speaking of team sports, we got women's softball. Their World Series starts today. Alabama, Tennessee's, all these games will be on ESPN at 11. Then you got Stanford, #1, Oklahoma. By the way, it's home court advantage for them as the World Series is in Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma State, Florida State, then Utah, Washington will be playing later on this evening. So those that like the women's softball, their tournament starts tonight, and the men's baseball regionals and all that building up to the College World Series later on this month starts, I think it's Saturday.
All right. Any other final thoughts that include potentially today in sports?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I want to give a shout out to my family. The wife introduced a walk challenge for the month of May, and the goal was 250,000 steps. Thank goodness it's over. Man, my feet are just screaming at me. Even at work, trying to get extra steps in and move around. The wife walking in place at work. Isaac walking around the block so many times. He looks like a homeless guy. And I was like, this is like the third time this kid's went around the block. But anyway, all of us did it. We all were over 300,000. So we all killed the goal. Big shout out to you guys sticking with it and not just sticking for the 250 that you went more. I like it. But today,
congratulations on that achievement. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a long month, and we did a no dessert, no sweet thing. So yeah, there was no blizzards, no candy bars. Went to the movies a few times without hot tamales. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Popcorn and hot tamales is kind of like my thing, and man. But anyway, on
perseverance. Congratulations on your perseverance.
Thank you. I went all the way back. I usually don't go too far back, but back in Census Memorial Day week, 1917, Boston Braves first baseman Hank Gowdy. Not only was he the first active Major League Baseball player to enlist in service World War I, he's the only player in the MLB to fight in World War I and in World War II. So, and then 1918, the White Sox were lost to the Yankees. They had 5-4. They were down 5-4, bases loaded in the ninth with nobody out. And Gondil lines out to Frank Baker, who turns a very rare game-winning triple play. So imagine that as a fan. You're watching a team bases loaded, nobody out, and then you get out in a triple play. 1982, Ricky Henderson steals 2 bases because that's what he does. Fastest player to reach 50 stolen bases in a major league season. And oh, by the way, I brought that one up today because I think we're going to start seeing that number more. Before 25, 30 was a number. With the new pitch count clock and the bigger bases, steals are already up a lot. I think we're going to get to maybe a couple, not only one, but a couple 50 stolen bases by a single player. And then in the NBA, we'll go with a couple 3 things. Like I said, most of it was a lot of French Open, a lot of cricket stuff this year or this day. But everybody remember good old Dan Marley for the Phoenix Suns. At this time in 1993, he had 8 3-pointers and a 120-114 win over Seattle. And then the next year in 94, Reggie Miller doesn't hit 8, but he hits 5, a record 5 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. A lot of you guys might remember that game when they beat the Knicks in the game 5 of the finals. So, yeah, we got a little basketball, a little baseball in there.
So you mentioning that NBA thing reminded me of what Jimmy Butler said last year after Boston beat them in the conference finals. He said, "We'll be here next year." Now, that confidence is amazing because he knew what his team could do. He knew what his coach could do. Are the Celtics able to do that? Time will tell. And I asked that question to lead into my next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar quote. A team will always appreciate a great individual if he's willing to sacrifice for the group. So I would like to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown coexist. I would like to see Jason Tatum focus more on group, focus more on people that are open, and not, to use the term that you coined, play hero ball. To think that you're the only player out there that matters that can only get it done. Because Jimmy Butler doesn't think that way. No. Nikola Jokic doesn't think that way. That's why he gets triple doubles.
Yep. And on the Celtics side, if we're there, a true ball handler. Take the ball out of Jalen's hands, take the ball out of Tatum's hands. There are so many dribbles and misses and off their foot and do the leg. And White did really well, but a true point guard ball handler, find one in the draft.
Also, I saw some sad news. The Chicago Bulls are wondering if Lonzo Ball ever plays again because of his injury.
I missed that, really.
Yeah, his rehab isn't going as expected. There's been setbacks, and they're wondering if he ever plays again.
I wasn't a fan of his, but with the Lakers, he was just not good at basketball player at all. But when he went to Chicago,
they didn't help him.
No, right. When he went into Chicago, I definitely saw a better ball player and a team ball player than what I had seen. And I'm sure it had to do a lot with the outside noise and the pressures and all blah, 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 blah. I don't want to start that conversation, but yeah, that'd be kind of hard. That'd be hurt them because Levine and them definitely feed better when you have a point guard like that can set things up.
I wonder if they blow up that team. I wonder what happens. Levine and Nikola Jokic, the other
Right.
the other center there who actually got hurt late in the season. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, they have a talented core, and you think they should have done. You think they should have done better, but
I think they would have if Ball was there, you know, to help them make the playoffs. I think they would have made some noise.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
That's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, go watch some sports.
See you.